Hi guys, I'm Chantal with Growing Up Without Borders, and today we are going to talk about something really interesting. So not too long ago I posted a video about the major differences between living in America versus Switzerland, and someone put a comment saying what are the differences between like the school systems. And so I have like at least 20, so I came up with like 20 major ones. And I've been to school, so I was born and raised in Canada. I did go to school a few years in Switzerland, and my kids did go to school in all three countries. So I can really firsthand tell you kind of like the major differences that I've come up with. So are you ready? Here we go. So the first major difference I've come up with is back to school shopping. So as you know, in the United States and in Canada, it's all about the marketing, and we're big time consumers. And so before you send your kids to school in September, usually, or end of August, you go back and you do all your back to school shopping. It includes your books and your pencils and your rulers and your clothing and like the whole thing, right? Usually get a list of what you should buy, and then you send your kids to school with all the new things and their new backpacks and lunch pails and etc., right? And so when we arrived in Switzerland, I did the exact same thing. I came prepared with all the supplies that I thought my kids would need. And our kids are in a public school system, or they were actually in Switzerland. And so it's not like they were in like a private school, just so you know. But this is what was included. So they came back and they're like, "Mom, look what we got." And they pulled out like all these things and put it all out on the table. And they like had these really nice pencil, crayons, markers, scissors, calculators. Like I forget everything, but like the list went on, and all the books included everything. Everything was supplied for the kids. And I was like shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Because not only was it just like supplied, but it was like the highest quality. So the little pencil crayons that they received were a brand called Caran d'Ache, which is Swiss made. And this special pencil crayon, if you draw with it and then you dip it in water, it actually becomes like a water paint, you know, like you use a paintbrush and it becomes water paint. So it's like so cool. I was so impressed, and I was just like, wow, that is like really neat. So that's one of the very first differences I noticed right away. Number 2 is reusing school supplies. And so like I just said a few minutes ago, in America it's about marketing and consumerism and everything like that, and we just buy. Well, in Switzerland they think twice before they throw things away. And what happens is when the kids came back to school, so they went to school the first year, and then they came back, and then the following year when they were going back again, they were told to keep all the books from the previous year and bring them back the next year. So that included, like, you know, if you have a little textbook, they literally brought that same textbook back, and they literally left off on the page that they left off on and continued writing the following year. So that was shocking, because in America we would just throw that away and then go buy a whole new textbook, because God forbid you go back with the same one or a used one, or, you know, you have to go with something new. Of course, they print off papers like every school does and everything. So there is lots of like, you know, paper waste and all that. But for the majority, everything is reused right to the very last minute. So same goes with their pencil crayons. They don't replace like a whole pencil crayon box. When that pencil crayon gets small, then that one pencil crayon will get replaced. So that was a big difference for me. Number 3 is respect. So I grew up with a Swiss German dad, so you can imagine I grew up with like respect was well known in my household. But for the most part, you know, in America when you go to school, you kind of just walk into your classroom and it's kind of like, hey, you sit down, whatever, and it's just like there is a respect for the teachers, but it's not like a demanded respect, if you will. And what I noticed when my girls went to school in Switzerland is they had to go shake the teacher's hand when they arrived at school and shake the teacher's hand before they left. It teaches them a form of respect. They, you know, respect their teachers in a different way, and it's just really nice to see that is kind of imposed on the kids, because I think it probably helps in the classrooms with the teachers as well when they're trying to like get a classroom to listen to them, if they are taught respect from the get-go. Number 4 is school outings. And so it's more so like the consent form for school outings, if you will, because the school outings, I don't really know that there's like, you know, that many differences, right? All the schools go see museums and go see this and go see that. But what they do in Switzerland that is quite different is sometimes if the teacher feels like going to the park for the afternoon, they'll just walk off the school premises and go to the park for the afternoon. And so I was like surprised, because the first time I noticed this as we went to go get the kids after school, and we were like, oh, where are the kids? And they're like, oh, they just went down down the road to the park or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, but in America, you would know basically if the teacher decided to like leave the school premises and go for a tour or go for a hike or anything like that, because they would have to send a form home. The parents would have to sign off on it and everything, right? So there's a lot more rules and regulations, I guess, if you will, when it comes to school outings and just taking the kids, on an outing. So they do things like, if they're doing like a real school trip, then of course they'll get parents to sign. But if it's just like a little outing, like just going down the road, maybe going to the grocery store, like one thing that was quite funny is my daughter said, oh yeah, my teacher sends us to the grocery store to go buy things, and like that just would never happen in America anywhere. So when it comes to basically like the rules and regulations and what the teachers are kind of allowed to do or let the kids go off and do is much different in America versus Switzerland. So number 5 is quality of education. So this point is probably, hopefully, not going to offend too many of you, but I know in the United States there are some great teachers and there are some really bad teachers. And depending on where you live and kind of like maybe even the state that you're in or anything like that is going to matter for the quality of the education. So it's not like you can just like say, oh, I want to go live here. No, you have to like look at where am I going to live. That's going to determine where my kids are going to go to school. And in this area, there's better schools in that area, and so on and so forth. And so that's not really fair for the kids or for just the people who are just like trying to go about their normal lives and live just anywhere they want to live. So in Switzerland, no matter where you are, there's not like certain schools that are good and other schools that are bad. It's like the quality of the education is across the bar pretty much the same. And so that's really a big difference. I know there's a really good documentary. It's called Searching for Superman. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it, because that explains the school system, and it really explains why it's broken in the United States. So in Canada, I would say it's pretty good. I mean, in my experience, we had great school systems there, and so I know there's a lot of things changing though now, so it might not be the same as it used to be. But anyhow, so that's a big difference. I know there's also different organizations like the Gates organization and stuff like that, like Bill and Melinda Gates. They're trying to like change that by funding different things, and there's like charter schools, and there's all different kinds of schools. But basically, long story short, if you're in a certain area and you want your kids to have a good education, you have to pay for their schooling. If not, you're just not going to get the greatest quality. Point number 6 is homework. So I know in the older grades, based on like the comments that I got on the last video that I did post about the differences of Switzerland and America, all you kids in the older grades, you are getting homework and more homework on weekends and so on and so forth. But the biggest difference that I've noticed is our kids were quite small when they started the school system in Switzerland, but they got quite a bit less homework than they do in America. So in the United States, our daughter, who was 4 years old at the time, was already getting like 1 sheet of paper to do. I know that doesn't sound like much, but when you're like working and then you come home, then you have to make dinner, then there's 3 girls and you have to sit with each one, because at the age of 4, they're not going to just sit there quietly and do their paperwork. It becomes a lot. And then there's not much time left to like have fun and enjoy life and like be, do what you should as a family in the evening, just relax and enjoy. So I find that was a big difference. Like in Switzerland, they got a lot less homework. It was a lot less pushed, like academically. I found that it was just like more about, I don't know, just more a rounded lifestyle in the sense of schooling and homework and everything like that. And then the younger grades, my girls never got homework in Switzerland on weekends, which was really nice. So you never had to worry about like Sunday night, oh my gosh, like did you, do your paper or whatever like that. It didn't exist. So that's quite a big difference. I know where I went to school in Canada, I got loads of homework. And so, I don't know. I think everyone should follow the system in Finland, because they're doing pretty good. They don't do any homework, and they're rated one of the best. So maybe we should all learn something from them. Number 7 is extracurricular activities. And so growing up, we would do sometimes like maybe a 1 to 2 day getaway trip at the end of the school year. And in the United States, I know that they don't do like these, like they sometimes do trips, but it's not like every single year, you know for sure that you're going to the ski camp and the summer camp or whatever. And in Switzerland, they do that. And so it's really cool. So they literally take the kids for one whole week. They go up and stay in a Swiss chalet. They go skiing, they go hiking. Summer camps, they do zip lining, and they do like just a whole bunch of fun activities. And so they alternate like winter camp one year, summer camp the next year. And it's very, very affordable. So I think they get a lot of the funding from the different communes and such. But for a fraction of the cost, your child can go for a whole week at a camp, learn to ski, and get like self-taught, not self-taught, sorry. You learn to ski and get instructor and taught ski lessons. And so it's just pretty phenomenal when you think about it. I know when our kids were in the States and in Canada, that didn't really exist. And if it did, it was only reserved until the much higher grades, like grades 7, 8 and up, right? It wasn't for like, the 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12 years old, whereas this is. So it's pretty cool. Point number 8 is the school systems. And when I'm talking about school systems, okay, so Canada and the US is pretty much the same, where, everyone starts around like pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, then they go up to like, their junior high or grade 7, 8, and then you do your, junior, senior, sophomore, grade 9, 10, 11, 12 kind of thing, right? And then everyone goes off to university or college. And then you hope to get a good job to pay for all the student loans and debts. Well, so in Switzerland, things are much different. There's a lot more pressure on the younger kids at a younger age, because already at the age of 12, you are put into different paths, if you will. So depending on the grades that the kids get in school, and the teachers kind of sit with the parents and kind of analyze, your child's either going to go into a general path or what they call pre-gymnasium, which would be like pre-high school path. And that is going to determine if your child is going to end up doing university and college, or professional schools maybe, or apprenticeship type schools and programs. And so it's interesting because it's quite different, right? No one in America, in Canada, everybody follows the same path and then, goes on from there. Whereas in most, I don't know if it's all European countries, but definitely Switzerland, they all have this chosen pathway that they're going to go in. And it doesn't mean that if they're going down, a general path, that they can't switch and then after end up in a professional school or university. But chances are, if they're going down this way, they're not going to go. So there's a lot of pressure at that young age to make sure their grades are high. And so that's a little bit, I would say a little bit unfair, but at the same time, it's good in the sense that not everybody is cut out to go to university. Not everybody is going to be a doctor or a lawyer or need that kind of education. So this kind of ties into my next point. Because everyone is going down different paths, when you look at any kind of job, whether it's being a waiter or a salesperson or a mechanic or I don't know, I'm trying to like just any, day-to-day job that in the United States you don't need formal training for. In Switzerland, people actually do an apprenticeship. And so when they're doing an apprenticeship, they're actually learning all the ins and outs of the business, and they're going to school only 1 day a week and then working for 4 days a week. So everybody has a professional training, if you will, which is really nice because, like I was saying before, not everyone's cut out to be a doctor, a lawyer, a professional accountant or whatever. So this way there's different paths for everybody to go through. And it's just maybe a little bit better organized in that sense. Point number 9 is the cost of education. And so in the United States and in Canada, as you probably already know, well, if you're there, you definitely know, there's something called student loans, right? And so a lot of people, after they're done high school, then they're choosing what university or what college they're going to go to. And half the time, the kids don't even know what they want to do because they don't really, they just don't know. And so then they get a student loan. Schools cost a lot of money in America. And then they end up hoping to get a job to pay for the student loans. So it's kind of a broken system in the sense that it's expensive and then you're not guaranteed work and you don't even know if that's what you really want to do. And so I was surprised because already at Julia's age, she's 14 right now, in school in Switzerland, they're not in school right now, but if they were in school, they already choose for 1 week a different profession and they go and work in that business at the age of 14. So they kind of are starting to get a feel for what they want to do, what kind of work they want to do. And it just lowers all the confusion when it comes to like, gee, should I be this? Should I be that? They kind of already guided at a young age. And then what happens is when they're ready to go to school, if they're in an apprenticeship type program, they're actually getting paid because they're working in a business 4 days a week. So they're not coughing out these big student loans. And then a lot of the times, whether it's like becoming a nurse and different professions like that, the money that they cost them, I don't know exactly, but it's not what we have in America. Like the school's affordable, if not next to nothing. So I think that's great. Mind the bird noises. Point number 10, this is terrible, school security. All right, here's the biggest differences. In the morning, when you walk your kids to school in Switzerland, you can enter the school property, you can hang out with other moms, you can have conversations with them, you can walk into the school, no one's gonna like yell at you and stop you, and there's no bulletproof glass. I'm not talking for Canada because Canada's much different when it comes to this, but in the United States, there's such a huge problem right now, as you all know, with guns and shootings and all this crazy stuff. And so the security is super high. It's like sending your kids to jail because, like, you know, they have to the doors are locked. You can't just walk up. And so the school security is hugely different. Like, it's quite nice. Like when you go to school in Switzerland and the kids are there, you see the kids playing, you can see the other kids, you can see who your kids are playing with, how they're getting along. I don't know, it's just fun to observe them and see who their friends are and everything like that. And there's just no threat when it comes to the security. And to be fair, like the kids, it's their right to feel secure and safe when they're going to school. There should never be like this like scare and threat. And so it's something that definitely needs to be worked on over there. In Canada, let me think. It's pretty good, but it's still quite regulated. Like you can't just walk onto a school property and walk into a classroom. There's still, you have to report to the office, but I don't think it's not as locked down, if you will, as the US is. Point number 11 is yellow school buses and school transportation. So this is funny because we always see it in the movies, right? The big yellow school buses. So if you're not in the US and you're not in Canada, not every country has yellow school buses. So the kids, they walk to school in Switzerland because the schools are so close and every community is built that the school is like very close. So the ones that do, which is rare, that do have to take a bus, they actually take the public transit. So they're taking like a public school, not school bus, but a public bus to school, which is really funny. And all the other kids, you see them walking in the morning to school. The moms sometimes walk, and the kids start at a young age walking. So you'll see little 6-year-olds walking down the street all by themselves. So it's pretty crazy. So that's a big difference. It used to take me like 45 minutes to get to school, and then I didn't actually take a big yellow school bus because, anyway, long story short, I went to a French school and I got shipped a different way to school. But for the most part, people stand at a school bus stop, wait for the big yellow school bus to come, go on, and then do this big long road because you have to like stop at every stop. So quite different there. Point number 12 is school teachers and the quality of the teachers. And so I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me and be like, no, in Europe it's not always the same, or in Switzerland anyway. But for what I've experienced, I have nothing bad to say about the teachers in Switzerland. They were all amazing. Same goes for the US and Canada, but we were sending our kids to really good schools. So I know based on this documentary that I did see, there are some really bad teachers there in the US, like really bad. And the documentary speaks for itself. Watch it. Searching for Superman if you want to see it. So the quality of the teachers, like they're paid well, I believe, in Switzerland. And so they apply themselves. And anyway, nothing bad to say there, but there's definitely a difference. So point 13 is Parent-Teacher Night. And so this one's really fun because at the start of the school year in Switzerland, the whole school is invited, basically, all the parents and so on and so forth, to get together. And what they do is they do a little bit of a presentation, and then each teacher brings all the parents into the classroom, and they literally will show you the whole curriculum for the school year. They show you the kids' books, what's at their desk. It's quite detailed, and they go through everything. And so that was different. I've never experienced that in America before. You usually, parent-teacher nights in America is usually one-on-one with the teacher, and then you talk about how the kid's doing and so on and so forth. But this was more like an overview of the whole school year, how it's going to go. And then what's really interesting is you can meet all the other parents, because it's just not like, oh, nice to meet you guys, now goodbye. They actually do hors d'oeuvres after, and they serve like a light snack and even a glass of wine, which was funny. And everyone just socializes and gets to know each other. So you get to know the parents of the kids in your class and so on and so forth. And so it's a really great idea. I thought that was really cool and quite a big difference. So point 14 is just sharing private information. So there's a lot of like privacy acts and stuff when it comes to Canada, the US, and that's one thing I thought was interesting is in Switzerland we received like an agenda book with each child, and in there they put all the parents that are in the class, so all the parents of the kids in the class and all the phone numbers. So it's really easy to organize like a birthday party or to get a hold of someone if you have a question, or just to like, get to know the other parents. So all their phone numbers are there. Everyone's sharing this private information, so that I don't think you would ever have in America, because people are like, I'm not going to give out their phone number, without their consent. Of course, the parents are the ones that write down the phone numbers, but still, I thought that was kind of interesting and different. And included in the agenda is actually the teacher's phone numbers. So you can like WhatsApp the teacher, you can call the teacher, you have all their contact information. So that's just amazing. I don't know that the teachers in America do that. 15 is diversity in classrooms. And so, okay, if you're in a big city, of course, if you're in New York City, Toronto, Ottawa, or anywhere like this, you're going to have diversity in your classroom. But if you're from a small little town in the middle of nowhere, like, you're not, right? And so that was a big difference for me. Our kids are in an area that is very multicultural, and I'm just going to name like a few different nationalities and countries that would be in one classroom, for example. So we could have Portugal, Spain, France, Switzerland, of course, Kosovo, Romania, Serbia, Congo, Burkina Faso, Morocco, Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, Syria. I mean, it's so multicultural, it's not even funny. And so it's great because the kids are learning other cultures, they're learning about different languages just by being in the class with these kids. And so it's very, very multicultural, at least where we're living in that part of Switzerland. I know not everywhere in Switzerland is like that, but where we are, it is, which is kind of cool. I love it. Point number 16 is taking your kids out of school. So in the US and in Canada, if we want to take the kids out of school, we just send a note and say, on such and such a date, we're going to be gone and we're taking the kids out of school, and that's it. No go in Switzerland. In Switzerland, you have to write a formal letter. You have to wait for the response. And if they deny you, they can fine you, I think up to like 500 francs. So this is one of the reasons we are homeschooling, because we are no longer allowed to take our kids out of school. And so we're kind of like forced. If we want the flexibility, we just have to homeschool, which kind of makes sense, right? Because we did take them out quite a bit. But I know a lot of parents that are living in Switzerland that when they take their kids out of school, they have to lie and like make up this like big long excuse so that they don't get in big trouble, because they mean business. You don't just take your kids out of class or school like we can in America. Point number 17, and I'm trying to hurry up because the sun's going down, so my lighting's getting worse. But it's home ec, word working, all those like extracurricular classes. So in the United States, depending on where you send your kids to school, it's not always included. I know in Canada, they still do home ec and all those different things, which is awesome. And in Switzerland, they do too. So they sometimes will do gardening, which is awesome. They take them to the community garden. There's a real gardener there, like the guy who takes care of all the garden flowers, plants, and he's the one teaching the kids the different herbs, the different plants, and then they harvest them and they cut them and all that kind of stuff. They sometimes also do things like they'll just like up and go to the pool for the afternoon. So they do like extra activities, and it's part of the school. It's not like this extra thing that they're doing. They're just integrated into their learning, which is awesome. I think it's the best thing for the kids because it gives them like a well-rounded education, not just like academic. So that was a big difference for me. 18 is special presents for special occasions. And so I thought this was really cool. I don't know if this is just where our kids were going to school, but the teachers were phenomenal when it came to either Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, any of these like kind of like special days and special occasions. The kids made these like elaborate gifts. They made these like really nice poems, and it wasn't just like, you know, a little drawing or a little card. It was like a really nice gift, all thought out, that you could use and reuse. So like in my house, I have all these beautiful gifts that the kids made for me, and it's just like awesome. It's things that you use on a daily basis. So that was a big difference because, you know, in America, it was nice. You got like a little drawing or a little craft or something, but it wasn't like, you know, like a heavy-duty gift, a real nice gift like you get in Switzerland. So most of you know, in Europe, in a lot of European countries and in Switzerland, the parents get like 5 to 6 weeks holidays per year. So they already get a lot of paid vacation time with their work. And the school systems are a little bit different in that sense as well. So let me do the 3. I'll talk Canada, US, and the United States. So if I look at the school system in Canada, you usually start after Labor Day, which is the 4th of September. Then you go pretty much all the way up till Christmas without like a real long break. In the United States, I think you get at least the 1 week at Thanksgiving, and then you get your Christmas break. And in Switzerland, they get 2 weeks in October off already, and then Christmas break as well. And I think those 2 weeks in October are, if you look way back, it comes to when they used to have to pick the grapes, and so the kids would get out of school and help with picking the grapes and so on and so forth off the vines, and so that's where that school holiday kind of originated from. So then they have their Christmas break like everyone does, and then they get a week in Switzerland. They get a week in February off, which most people take off to go skiing or what have you, and then they get 2 weeks off in April at Easter time. So if you go back to Canada gets March break, so about a week in March. And then just little holidays here, like days here and there. And then they get Easter. They only have like Easter Friday and Easter Monday off, and that's it. In the United States, let me think now. So in the United States, I can't even actually remember. So someone's going to have to comment below and tell me in April if there's like holidays. I know there's like a spring break for about a week, but I forget if that's only high school or not. So there you have that. And then let me see. Then in Switzerland, after April, then they go to school till about the 4th of July. Then they celebrate, the 4th of July. And I'm just joking. So they have it, they go till the 4th of July, and then they have their summer break until the end of August. Whereas Canada, they finish school around maybe the 15th or so of June, depending on the school systems, right? So somewhere in June there. So it's a little bit different when it comes to that. And then another major difference is everybody comes home for lunch in Switzerland. So they get a 2-hour lunch break where they come home. A lot of times they have a home cooked meal because moms are home and prepare them their meals and so on and so forth. And so that's a big difference too. So you see your kids a lot more, and I know our kids loved it. They got to tell us halfway through the day what's happening and all that. So that's kind of cool. Number 20 is the end of the year school party. And so in Switzerland, I've never experienced this in America or Canada. They have this like big, huge party, and everybody goes. I know that there's this one couple, they don't even have kids in the school or even grandkids in the school, and they go to the party. So it's like this like big open party for anybody to come and enjoy. They have bouncy castles. They have like zip lining for the kids. They do the school choir plays music and sings songs. What else? Like they did one year, they did like a whole parade down the street where all the kids like got decorated by class, and then everybody was cheering them on. And it's just like this big, huge community event. And the high school kids, the older kids, they're the ones serving the beer, the wine, the drinks, and the food. And then all the parents and the kids are just having this like big, fun party to start and kick off the summer. So that's really cool, and that's a huge difference because I've never experienced anything like that. In the United States and Canada, they might do things like maybe like a school play or a school performance to end the school year, but never anything like this. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you guys, to end the video, I really hope you enjoyed it, and please comment below. Let me know, if it's different where you are or what you've experienced. I know you will anyway, and let us know what you thought. Okay, we'll see you next time. Give us a big thumbs up. Bye.